Welcome back to Certifiably Ingame. I'm Tyr.
And Rick here too.
Anyone who's played the Halo games can attest to how badass it is to play as a Spartan super soldier. These legendary heroes were bred for war and victory. But how did the Spartans come to exist? And what happened to them all? Why do we only see Master Chief in the original trilogy?
Well, there were in fact several iterations of the Spartans, such as Noble Team in Halo Reach.
Come on. Got it. Hey Rick, James from The Lore Reloaded. Hey, I hope you don't mind me taking over your episode. I happened to borrow some equipment from the Terran Empire when they took over your episode a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to talk to you about the Spartan Program and something we're doing on my channel.
No problem. I guess I did it to you too, so I guess that makes us even. Although, how you snuck this past my editor is confusing, especially as I edit my own videos.
So, the Spartans we see in the later games are in fact an offshoot of the original program called the Spartan-IIIs. The original Spartan-IIs were based on the planet Reach and, well, they were mostly wiped out by the Covenant.
So a lot of people don't know this, but when the Covenant attacked Reach, Noble Squad wasn't the only Spartans on the planet. In fact, we know that there were a lot of Spartan-IIs on the planet as well, and one of the only reasons that Reach fell was because the UNSC was laying a trap for the Covenant.
Damn, a UNSC trap? I bet the ends justify the means, am I right? Still, such a waste of an entire planet.
That's actually one of the things we're looking at on my show this week. What would have happened if Reach had been defended, if the UNSC had not set the trap and allowed Spartan-IIs and Spartan-IIIs to defend Reach? Chances are Earth would have never been attacked.
That sounds interesting. I've got to admit, I wonder how things would have played out if the Spartans were still at play.
So hopefully after watching this video, you guys will go and check out our... Whoa. That sounds like they've infiltrated underground. Computer. Show subsection D/C form A. Yeah, we're definitely getting attacked. Hey, Rick, I'm going to have to let you go. You guys watch the rest of this video and then check us out on the other channel, but I'll talk to you later, man. I got to take care of this.
Oh. Are you okay?
Lore Reloaded?
James?
Well, I hope things work out for you over there. I'd offer help, but I have excuses to make.
You mean a video to make?
Yeah.
Well, let's hope he doesn't end up like the Spartans then.
Speaking of, back on topic, the Spartan-IIs, where did they come from?
Well, it all begins with the Office of Naval Intelligence and its shady Orion project. 2 attempts at creating super soldiers. The first began on Earth before the Outer Colony worlds were founded in 2321. This failed, and it wasn't until 2491, some 170 years later, that they tried again. This time in response to the growing insurrectionist movement and increased tension between the inner and outer colonies. Volunteers from the top echelon of the Marine Corps were selected to undergo chemical and biological manipulations to improve performance and create the first breed of super soldier.
The project was successful in a limited fashion, with increases in stamina, strength and cognitive abilities. However, the effects were often marginal at best, with candidates often suffering long-term effects that would eventually prove fatal. This ended in 2506, and the Orion personnel were redistributed throughout the military to continue their career and diagnosed with Boren syndrome.
This made-up illness was to mask the after effects of the genetic manipulation and provide a means to keep the Orion project a secret.
On one hand, the Marines were volunteers. On the other, they suffered genetic, often fatal defects due to the experimentation, but they did get results, even if marginal. Success or failure, what this ultimately proved was that the era of the super soldier had come, and the idea was attainable. It simply required someone to advance the design further, someone willing to work in the grey areas of morality where the ends justify the means.
Enter Dr. Catherine Halsey.
A genius and a savant, Halsey predicted the outcome of the insurrectionists and took her findings to the Admiral of Office of Naval Intelligence, ONI for short. They concurred and took her on board with the goal of finding a method of curtailing the violence and avoiding the impending cataclysmic civil war.
In 2511, she found her answer in the remains of the Orion project, as well as ancient history. Her conclusion of the original Super Soldier program was that the subjects had undergone genetic augmentation at too late an age, writing in her journal that the most suitable candidate would be prepubescent. The threat of a civil war was undeniable, so the go-ahead was given. 6-year-old children taken from families. Genetically superior to the other kids their age, there were originally 150 candidates, which had to be reduced by half. 75 children got to live on, unknown how close they had come to being legend. 75 were stolen in the night by ONI extraction teams, who replaced the children with flash-grown clones, with next to no consciousness and a life expectancy of months, if not weeks.
Drawing parallels with the ancient Spartans of Greece, whose military training began at the age of 7, the project was named SPARTAN-II, the affectation to mark its successor to the Orion project, the later name the Spartan-I program. This name was deliberately selected to create images of heroic warriors, to inspire the children as well as those who came to hear of the term Spartan. These children were told selected truths. They were trained together to forge an unbreakable squad morale. They were told in no uncertain terms that they were to become heroes, to stop the violence between the colony worlds.
This indoctrination involved the abandonment of last names in favour of their selection IDs. John 117, Kelly 087, Fred 104, the year 2517. The only facility on the planet Reach was to be the hub of the Spartan Program, where the children would be broken and made into warriors. Their training included harsh regimes and regimented workouts. Failure to comply resulted in a shock baton to the ribs. 100 jumping jacks, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 100 leg lifts, 2-mile jogs. Bear in mind that the candidates were just 6 and 7 years old, and this was a near daily expectation.
Some say that what makes the Spartans great was the test, the power armour, and the experimentation, but this level of harsh training is really what forged them. Between the gruelling physical activities, there were lessons in tactics, history, and the art of warfare.
But there was another side to the training. They were to be a team, a soldier raised to be effective on their own, but superb as a unit, and as such, missions where teamwork was the key were frequent. The failure of one teammate meant the loss of the entire team. The victories of one squad were shared amongst them.
They were even pitted against squads of Marines in simulated war games, which occasionally turned violent due to the fear of these unnatural children and the Spartans' aggressive tendency to neutralise opponents with prejudice. In fact, in 2520, Spartan 137 killed a training instructor by snapping his spine after throwing him. It was accidental. However, the response from Halsey was to educate the children with the knowledge that, during training, accidents happen.
March 9th, 2525. Augmentation. The technology had improved considerably since the Orion project, and results were certain. However, the risks were enormous and would definitely lead to fatalities. The 14-year-olds were prepared for surgery and the various procedures that they would have to undergo. Occipital capillary reversal to increase perception. 11% chance for permanent blindness. Muscular enhancement to improve density and recovery time of musculature. 5% chance for fatal cardiac arrest. Ceramic ossification. A ceramic material grafted across the skeletal structure to make the bones stronger and more resistant to impact. 3.8% chance of bone deformation. Catalytic thyroid implant to increase stature and size. 2% chance of elephantitis. Neural modifications to improve reflexes. 12% chance of Parkinson's or a related motor control disease. Only 33 survived. Training continued, and the now augmented Spartans were excelling beyond predicted parameters. It seems the modifications had paid off despite the drastic decrease of personnel. But then First Contact happened, and the universe as humanity understood it flipped. The Covenant appeared over the planet Harvest and reduced its surface to a cinder. During this time, the Spartans were often deployed not to fight the alien threat, but to neutralise elements of the United Rebel Front, a coalition of rebels and insurgents opposed to the UNSC.
In addition to the genetic augmentations the Spartans received, the MJOLNIR project was finally brought to the phase where development was feasible. Started in 2515, continued development of technologies as well as the occasional personal input from Catherine Halsey resulted in the Mark IV powered assault armour. The first 3 versions of the suit were usable, however, they were too cumbersome for field deployment outside of guard duty as their power supplies were far too bulky. As it was, the Mark IV was designed to enhance the wearer's reflexes, enhance their strength, and act as armour, and that it did. However, Project MJOLNIR was too powerful for the human pilot as accelerated movers often tore muscle fibre. The reflective pain spasm would also then be amplified and the user would quite literally tear themselves apart. So, you needed a user with super durable skeleton and dense muscle fibres. You needed a Spartan. Suffice to say, the history of the MJOLNIR project is a video for itself, but the results were exemplary. The armour underwent many iterations and upgrades as its use pointed out potential adaptations.
In 2531, however, Halsey's success in the Spartan Program led to her research being copied and changing hands without her knowledge or permission. After all, she was working for an intelligence agency, and secrets were the word of the day, every day. The Spartan-III program, under the oversight of Colonel James Ackerson, had begun with the aim of producing more super soldiers. Make the units better with new technology, make more of them and make them cheaper. In 2547, Catherine Halsey began the final part of her Spartan-II program. She intended to bond the human psyche of her Spartans with an AI partner to provide them with the computing power of a starship on the go and all the benefits that entailed.
Later that year, with the Spartan-III program meeting its strategic success with its disposable heroes, Black Ops, and rumours of super soldiers in their power armour driving back the Covenant, Oni decided to go public with some details on Spartan-IIs. The effect was to boost morale, and it worked. The legends were true, and there were heroes out there who could seemingly accomplish the impossible.
2 years later, Halsey's research culminated in the creation of Cortana, who was based off her own mind. Spartan 117 was prepped for surgery once again to allow for a connection of an AI chip in the base of his skull. Halsey herself was unsure what the merging of a human and AI mind would result in. She even speculated that the minds would combine and she would lose both the AI daughter and one of her Spartans. Fortunately, this did not happen, and the AI-human relationship was symbiotic as she'd hoped, with each retaining their individuality. With this, the Spartan-II project effectively came to an end. Although research into the techniques pioneered by Halsey continued, she herself was no longer involved.
As if to emphasise the end of the Spartan-IIs, July 25th, 2552 saw the fall of Reach and the near total decimation of the remaining Spartan-IIs.
So there you have it, the secret experiments and the shady operations behind what it takes to make a super soldier in the Halo universe. While it can't be denied that the Spartans were everything they were meant to be and more, the moral and ethical actions taken to create the results were questionable.
Was it worth it? How about you let us know if you think so. If nothing else, we've got an excellent series of shooters and a whole new sci-fi mythos to explore. Thanks again for listening, and shout out to Lore Reloaded for the crossover. Be sure to have a look at his channel, where you can find alternate history speculations on Star Trek, Warcraft, Star Wars, amongst many others. Until next time, this has been Tyr
And Rick, signing out. Goodbye, and thanks again.